And now, it's The Law Show on CL 650. A comprehensive look at everything you need to know about the law.
Yes, something to talk about, that's for sure. Welcome to The Law Show here on CL 650. Today we're talking about the breakdown of relationships. They're difficult and confusing, and joining us in studio today are experts from McQuarrieHunterLLP. We have our two lawyers with us today, David Halkett, who's a partner at Macquarie Hunter, and Lee Donaldson, you're an associate at Macquarie Hunter. Welcome to the show, and Lee, it's your first time.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
not
you.
Lee.
No,
You're
sorry.
Lee, we'll go easy on you. It's your first time. Now, Sarah has been on. You're another associate you have at the firm. And what did she say about coming on to do the show?
Did she warn you? It was a lot of fun.
Oh, it's fun.
Said it was fun, yeah.
Okay, good. Now, Macquarie Hunter, you're based in Surrey, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we're right in the Central City Tower, right above SFU.
Okay. And this is an old firm, right? This has been going back a long, long time?
Well, the firm originally came into existence in 1967 from the merger of some other firms who had existed long before that. So.
And can you name them all the partners originally?
I wish I could.
We had Macquarie, Hunter, Fisher, McKinnon, Gates, Pettenuzzo, I think.
Yeah, Pettenuzzo, yeah.
And they all went on to become Queen's Counsel at some point in their careers, which is a huge honor, right?
It is.
To be named Queen's Counsel?
It is a good thing, yeah.
So it just got shortened to Macquarie Hunter in 1978. So you have a full sort of suite of lawyers that do all different things in all kinds of law, right? So, but you have this sort of boutique inside Macquarie Hunter where you do family law.
That's correct. We're kind of unique among mid-size firms in that we actually have a dedicated family law department. A lot of other firms have one lawyer who maybe does it for one of their corporate clients, but we actually have our own department. So there's Leah, there's me, and there's Sarah, and so the three of us are the big department.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Leah, they wrote down on here Lee.
That's okay.
Did you see that?
Not a problem. Happens all the time.
All right. So, no, David's been on many times, but we want to hear from you. So how did you get into family law? Like, what was it about when you were called to the bar that you said, this is what I want to do, or was it kind of a happy mistake?
Both, I think. I did some family law when I first started. I articled with Macquarie Hunter, and I had the opportunity to practice family law while I was articling, and I really enjoyed it. I liked working with all kinds of people. Family law sort of affects all kinds of people. And I also found that it's a pretty important issue to people. So it's the most important thing that's happening in their life at the time. And it feels good to be able to help people at that time.
Yeah, and you sort of fell into it too, didn't you?
I did, yeah. This was the one area I did want to do. As I've said on earlier shows, when you're in law school at UBC, it was like you got to work in the corporate world downtown, and
one of the big firms in the big towers.
Exactly.
Now you work in a big tower, but in Surrey.
Exactly,
yeah.
the new downtown. But when I was in law school, this was back in late '80s, early '90s. It was family law was known as the pink ghetto, whereas that's where the female students were like pushed into. And I didn't want to do this. First I thought I wanted to do corporate stuff. I didn't think I could talk well enough. And then I got yelled at by a judge. I thought that was kind of cool, so I signed.
So you went back for more.
Exactly. And then I slowly did it my first couple of years, and then I kind of fell into it in 1996, I guess, and I've been doing it ever since.
So it's ironic that you call it, in the late 80s, early 90s, the pink ghetto. The ironic thing is there's more women coming out of law school now than men.
Exactly.
So the women are running the place, right?
Well, there are a lot more female students than when I was in law school. Because it was, I think my year was the first year where there were more female graduates than males.
Yeah, and has it changed law, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Like Leah and I have discussed this before, that when we're at settlement meetings, when it's two female lawyers, the settlement meeting goes a lot different than if it's two males or the male-female mix.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
And you have clients that come in, or women who maybe feel more comfortable with a woman.
Yes.
Exactly.
And do they get to choose typically when they come in, or you work together with your other associates?
Well, we have a rotation for the three of us for cold calls. Often, a lot of people will refer directly to the lawyer, him or herself. We don't streamline you into like if you're male or a female, but some will say they want a female lawyer, so they'll be referred specifically to Sarah or Leah, or if they want a male lawyer, they'll come to me.
Now, we've had David talk many times about how when a client comes in, first of all, they're at the point in their relationship where they want to throw in the towel and they want to move on with their life. So David's told the story where he has people come in and tell their story, and then after about 20 minutes, they take a breath and you can finally talk to them. So do you have a certain way that you like to deal with clients when they come in where, you know, they just got to get this off their chest and you are there and they want to talk about the end of their relationship and how they're going to move forward, right?
I do. I usually just allow them to tell me why they're there to see me, because in some cases, actually, they do come in before they've decided whether their relationship is quote unquote over.
Is that common where people come before they pull the pin?
Not that common, but in about 10 to 15% of the meetings that I have, people are coming in to find out what the next steps are before they sort of have that conversation with their partner.
But David, you've said to me in the past that you think that's actually what you should do. You should speak to a lawyer before you decide to let the other party know, right?
Well, I think so. So you know what your rights are, especially if you're the economically less dominant individual in the relationship, because you don't. Sometimes you think I can't leave because I'm not going to get X, Y, and Z that I need. But then once you get to a lawyer, you realize you are entitled to that, and you can then make your plans to leave. And you know, by the time somebody, even before they left, if they've come to see Leah or me, they've pretty well decided they don't want to be together. But it's just a question of making that step, because you're crossing the Rubicon into the nice void, and you don't know what's going to happen.
So what do you do once they've talked to you? What do you just let them vent?
Absolutely. I let them tell me the reason that they're there. And then usually I'll give them a general overview of all the things, the law that I think applies to their situation. And then we have time for questions at the end, because people inevitably have questions in that circumstance. Yes.
And do you have other cultural sensitivities that you have to have with, you know, the makeup we have here in the Greater Vancouver area?
There can be, especially in our area. We have a lot of Indo-Canadians. And I've had individuals come in the past, and she was not going to take anything. She was going to walk away and sign over the children and sign over the assets just to get away from the abusive spouse. And I said, well, why are you doing this? You don't have to. She goes, well, I had an affair. And again, I said, well, why are you doing it?
That has culturally, that's taboo, right?
Exactly. So, you know, in that instance, I said, look, I'm not going to sign your separation agreement you brought in. Here's your advice. Don't sign it. It's totally unfair. You're entitled to a lot more. And I told her what she's entitled to. And she probably went off and signed it because she wanted away from the person. It's changed a lot. When I first started, if you were an Indo-Canadian woman and you were divorced, there was a stigma against you. It's not nearly the same now, 25 years later after starting practice. But there are cultural issues, and you would agree probably too, Leah.
Absolutely, yes.
So what do you have people in your office that can, or you have enough experience now in that area in Surrey to deal with it? You kind of know how to stick handle it?
To some extent, yeah. We do have other staff in the office who can translate if necessary, but often when there's a language issue, there will be someone will come in to translate. But I'm starting to know a bit more of the, you know, just having done it, the experience of what I can say and what I know what's coming from them in that regard.
Okay, so we talked about coming into the office and meeting you and feeling comfortable, and that's a major thing, right? Is the person coming in needs to feel that they trust you, and people can make up their mind very quickly, can't they? I mean, you have to be able to say, this is who we are, this is what we can do for you.
Oh, exactly. And I know that there's been times where someone's come to see me, and then Leah's met them when I've been on holiday, and they've stayed with Leah, and vice versa. It's just, it's such a personal area of law that it's who you feel comfortable with.
And is that one of the reasons why you practice in this area, is that you have more people connection than just maybe if you're working in real estate law or, you know, mergers and acquisitions or something like that?
I think so, yes. You definitely have a personal relationship. You know a lot about your client, and you're there for them in some pretty bad, rough times. So I do appreciate that personal connection.
Can you switch it off when you get home?
It's difficult. It's difficult to do. I'm still learning. 7 years in, and I'm still learning to sort of switch it off.
Yeah, because that's got to be hard. You have some real hard stories to listen to, right?
Well, yeah, and especially Leah's fortunate. She lives away, like in the city, compared to me. I live in New Westminster, so I spend a lot of time in Surrey, either, you know, for my son's getting his skate sharpened, or going to the mall in Guildford and such. And I often will run into the other parties. And there was one time at Christmas, I remember I saw this guy, and he just says, "Oh, there's that goof," like, and that was the other party, right? My kid's like, you know, and he said in a lot more expletive language than that, put it that way. And, you know, it's 2 days before Christmas, and my kid's like 2 years old, 3 years old. Why did he say that to you, Daddy? It's like, oh, well, he's the other party in a case. And just keep walking away. So, you know, you do get a lot more details, and that's why often parties don't like switching lawyers. When they met one in the office, they don't like going and having to tell the new story to someone else, simply because they've told a lot of stuff that they wouldn't tell anyone else.
Well, that's got to be hard. Like, do you ever get to a situation where you have to say, is there more to this than you're telling me? Because people hold some things back. I could see, even in my own situation, if you're telling a story, like, there's some things you just don't want to air, even with somebody who's going to be your confidant, right?
Absolutely. I often will say to people, it's okay to tell me something that you think will hurt your case, because if I know about it in advance, I can help lessen the damage. Whereas if I don't know about it and I find out about it in court or at a meeting, it can jeopardize their position.
Or people just embarrassed.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Well, yeah, what I often tell people is, look, I've heard everything.
Yeah.
Have you really?
Well, I always think I do until I hear what
the
they have
next
to
one,
say.
yeah.
But, you know, after 20 years, and even Leah now at 7 years, you've heard a lot of stuff that you never thought you'd have to hear. You know, like people like calling up and saying, I've just separated, can I start dating? You know, and that kind of stuff. You know, you hear those kind of things, and you hear the stuff that happened in the intimate details of the relationship that you never expect to hear from anyone, and yet you do, and it just becomes part of our daily existence.
It's hard to shock us.
Hard to shock you. Can you spot the couples that are going to break up when you go to a cocktail party?
Well, I can't necessarily see who's going to break up, but I can usually tell if people are. Even if I'm friends with both of them on Facebook, and all of a sudden there's no pictures together anymore, they never reference the other, or on my son's team, if they sit at different sides of the rink or they come separately, I usually know about 2 or 3 months before anyone has announced that they actually are separated.
You can see the signs.
Exactly.
Hey, you know, you hear the stat that people get married, 50% of all marriages end in divorce. Is it that high? Because I just know in my neighborhood, of all of the people that I know, there's only been 1 or 2 divorces.
I think the stats are skewed by people who've been married and divorced more than once.
Serial marriage.
Yeah, like, you know, I've had clients in the past married 4 or 5 times, so they obviously skew it.
Haven't they learned they're not good at it?
It would seem that way, yeah. But, you know, it's hard to tell because we don't see the good ones.
No. Yeah. That's exactly it.
So
like, that's how you have heard and seen everything, right?
So if you ask me, everyone gets divorced because that's all I ever see.
Yeah.
But, you know, we don't see the people who are together for 40 or 50 years.
That's true. The good stories.
Yeah.
All right, we're talking about the breakdown of relationships. They're obviously confusing, and you've heard can be very painful, but that's why you have the experts that can help you stick candle through the whole process. David Halkett, partner at Macquarie Hunter, is here, and Leah Donaldson, associate at Macquarie Hunter. And when we come back, we're going to get into sort of like the list of things you need to go through when you come in for your initial visit, and where you think you're going to go. When we continue right here on CL 650.
There's more of the show still ahead. This is The Law Show on CL 650.